back to the Dynasty Kings podcast. My name is Jared.
And I'm Austin.
And we are back for week 6. We're going to talk about our week 5 L's that we took. One winner and one L that we took. And I'll go ahead and start off. So I was wrong about Zach Wilson.
Yep,
he didn't do well. But I made a bet with Kyle Hernandez, who you might remember from a couple weeks ago on the podcast.
Special guest.
Yeah, Cowboys fan, idiot. We bet that, I bet that Zach Wilson would score more fantasy points than Dak Prescott, and he did.
Yep.
And I said to bench Dak Prescott in the podcast last week.
There you go.
So
that's a W.
That's a W and still an L because Zach Wilson didn't go crazy, but he did do better than Dak Prescott.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's your 1 year loss.
Yeah, that's my 1 year loss.
I'll take my L first. If you bet your car on on Jameson Williams, like I did, you took an Uber.
You have a bike now.
Guy, you either own a bike, you've been walking, you're building back up. Okay, that's rough, but trust me, you bet your car on the person I'm talking about this week, you're gonna have 2 cars. So, but yeah, took a huge L on that. Get that guy on your bench until proved otherwise. He really hasn't done much except for 1 splash touchdown.
Right.
My W, and it's funny because I picked a lot of wide receivers last week when I was looking through it, but D-Hop did really well.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a player who might have sat on your bench if you hadn't thought about it, and if you started him, you might have won your week off of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he didn't get a touchdown, but he had, 160 yards or something like that?
Plus, it was at least 7 catches, and I think it was more than that, so.
He went crazy.
Yeah, so I definitely think that one was good. Little mention just to pat myself on the back, Calvin Ridley. I got to take it because the Bills also shit themselves, so I need to take that as a...
Well, I mean,
the shining
light. Injuries, bro.
That is true, yeah. But the secondary definitely got crushed. But we'll talk more about the Bills again when we wrap them up for Sunday Night Football. But I actually have the first game on the slate for the coming week. This is Friday again, so we've already seen Broncos and Chiefs, which is a strange game. I hope.
Dumb game.
I would assume that everybody started Kelsey since they said he was healthy. But if you didn't, sorry.
I almost didn't. I actually almost didn't.
Wow.
Wednesday, I was tinkering. I was like, I don't know if I should play him. I don't know if I should play him.
Right.
And then I saw he got a full practice. I was like,
he's got to come out. Yeah. And I feel like with extra rest, he'll probably be good to go next week. But we have another London game. I believe this is the last London game, not the last foreign game, but the last London game. And it's going to be Ravens Titans. I wrote Rams here for some reason. Ravens Titans. And this is going to be weird matchup. As far as watching it, I don't really know what's going to happen. 2 very stout defenses. However, the Titans do struggle against the wide receivers. So overall, I'm saying you probably want to sit your Titans players in general. Derrick Henry, I think, is just based off of pure draft capital and how many runs per game he's getting. I think you want to keep him in your lineup, but I would not be excited about any other Titans player, and I don't think that will change really depending on the matchup, but especially with this matchup of the Ravens defense.
Even D-Hop, after last week, you were hyping him up?
Yeah, I was hyping him up a lot, and I think that you can start him, but I would, if you have another wide receiver who you're liking better, I think that this is a good tiebreaker because, the Ravens secondary is, even with all these injuries, plus they're getting people back, has been excellent.
Yeah.
So, I'm not really trusting the passing game this go around. I do, however, trust the Ravens passing game, which is hard to believe after what they did last week.
What do you mean?
But the Titans secondary is tragic. To put it simply, and I don't really have stats to back this up, but I have a feeling OBJ is scoring a touchdown this week in London.
No, absolutely.
Not at all. Not at all.
No. Joey Porter Jr. agrees.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Clamped his old ass.
Strapped his old ass down. Yeah, bro. Should become a family man. But no, I have heard that OBJ did some stints in London helping, I heard on another podcast I was listening to. So, I think he does have big fans in London, so maybe the energy will lead him to playing a game and showing some vintage self. I don't think he's going to be a consistent player this season, but for whatever reason, it's just shouting at me. OBJ might have a touchdown this week.
All right, but you're not betting the car on it.
No, do not bet anything on this. Do not bet anything on this. But if you're in a deeper league, or if you're looking for a kind of like a risky wide receiver option, I just for some reason I'm getting the feeling he's going to score one.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I got Panthers at Dolphins. And my player of the week is going to be a guy that I just traded.
Just acquired.
From Austin. And you know who I play this week in Dynasty Kings? I play Austin.
This guy. It's going to be crazy.
And I'm going to be starting Raheem Mostert. He's going to have a crazy, crazy game against the Panthers. Mike McDaniel said that Jeff Wilson Jr. will be on a snap count of no more than 25 reps if he is activated from IR. So that's only 25 reps.
Right.
I'm not worried about
If
that.
He's healthy too.
That's if he's healthy. A-Chain was already getting those types of reps, probably more. So, and A-Chain is on IR. Or A-Chan, however you want to say it.
Right.
He's on IR. He's going to be out 4 weeks. So this is Raheem Mostert's backfield. Again, I'm not too worried about Salvin Ahmed. He's okay. He's not anything special. And then the Panthers, they allow the second most points to opposing running backs. And they allow over 30 points per game to running backs.
Damn.
So
yeah, that's actually insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm pretty excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers also won't have either of their starting safeties in Von Bell and Xavier Woods. They won't have Miles Sanders or their starting left guard, Chandler Zavala. And then also, Derek Brown and Brian Burns did not practice yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
So their defense is about to lose possibly, I would say, their best 4 players.
Yeah.
So
that is tough. That is really tough. And
yeah.
Some say I'm a madman for making the trade while I'm facing you, Jared, and I would agree. But also I don't want to cut any players, so
yeah.
I
knew you had to cut people, but the trade, for those that don't know, is Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. Hefe. For 2 2025 second-round picks, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep, that's what it was. And my reasoning behind the trade is, even with how I have it now, like I wouldn't be able to start Mostert. Like I have JT, I have Austin Eckler, I have Tony Pollard, and I have Alexander Madison. So now it's sounding like Pollard may have a shoulder injury, but that was kind of the purpose behind it. I definitely agree. I think Mostert's been having a good season in general, but with his injury history and how crowded that backfield is getting, his value is declining, and based off of my running back room, I think it makes sense to have the picks, but we'll see if he absolutely decimates me this week. Only one way to find out. That's on Sunday at 1 p.m.
I think it was a fair trade. I actually did see today, about 30 minutes ago, that Tony Pollard was a full participant today.
Okay.
So you're good for it.
I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely love that.
Mutually beneficial, I think. But that's all I got. I think Raheem Mostert is going to absolutely kill you this week.
Yeah.
So
any Panthers players you're looking at here, or not really?
With Miles Sanders injured, I mean, I'm not hype on Chuba Hubbard. I think he's mid.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Bryce Young is interesting, but
struggles here and there.
He just struggles. It's hard to trust him.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm on to Saints Texans, and this is going to be very interesting as well. These are 2 teams that I kind of just don't really know where they're at. 2 overperforming defenses, it seems. I know that the Texans have been kind of more in the middle of the pack than the Saints, but most people did not expect that from them.
Yeah, I did.
So my sit this week is going to be Nico Collins.
Okay.
He's been flip-flopping the last 4 weeks. He went for 146 and a touchdown, and then 2 catches for 34 yards, and then 168, 2 touchdowns.
Against the Steelers.
And then 39 yards last week. So maybe the pattern says he's going to go for 150 and a touchdown this week, but I am just thinking about Marshawn Lattimore and his history with kind of big physical receivers. The 2 guys that I looked at matchup-wise were Mike Evans and DK Metcalf.
Yeah. And
they've never gone over 100 yards. Mike Evans went over 100 yards once.
Okay.
It was 147, I think. But that's in 10, 12 matchups. And DK,
it's Mike Evans.
Right, exactly. and DK, I'm not putting Nico Collins in that level, but he has a similar profile where he's trying to beat you at the catch point, and that seems to be something that Marshawn excels at. So I'm thinking Nico Collins. He's kind of one of those players that I like to talk about at this point, now that we've done it a couple weeks in a row, where in a redraft league, he might be someone who you're sitting in your bench trying to put into your 3rd wide receiver slot or your flex spot or something like that. And I think this week, if you have another option, you want to go with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I think another spicy thing is, bet. I'm not betting the car on it. I bet my bike on it. That CJ Stroud throws his first interception of the season.
I was going to say that too, because the Saints secondary is stingy.
Yeah.
Marshawn and Paulson Adebo, I believe, is their second corner, as well as Tyrann Matthews made a couple plays.
Tyron's out, though.
Oh, really?
I think he is. I might be wrong.
That makes a big difference, but either way, I think the 2 corners really set the tone for this defense. And I could definitely see that as well. That is something I was going to mention, but I thought after seeing how flip-floppy Nico has been, that's kind of who I wanted to highlight on this one.
No, it makes sense to me.
And I also don't think Stroud's going to have a bad game per se.
Yeah.
But I could see him finally, throwing that first interception of his career.
I think this is when he makes his first mistake.
Yeah.
I will move on to Commanders at Falcons. I got a kind of sneaky play, but I mean, after last week, maybe not so sneaky. I got Logan Thomas as a tight end.
Hell yeah.
With the
I like that.
Yeah, with Travis Kelce already playing, Greg Dulcich already played. He was back, and he didn't do shit, so hopefully you didn't start him. But if you're looking for a tight end this week, and I really like Logan Thomas. Yeah. Honestly, he just put up the most points in his career since 2020. So not his whole career, but since 2020, so 3 years ago. He had last week he had 9 catches for 100. Oh my god, 9 catches on 11 targets for 77 yards and a touchdown. So pretty good week, and it was against me, so that's how I know.
Yeah, great.
And the Falcons allow the second most fantasy points to tight ends.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, so he just came off a big week. I think he's gonna have another one.
Yeah. Okay, I like that a lot. And Sam Howell does seem to be viewing him as a safety blanket, which I know a lot of young quarterbacks will kind of lean towards the tight end. He's always been kind of a huge target with reliable hands, so if he continues to stay healthy, that makes a lot of sense, and especially in this Falcons matchup. So yeah, that makes sense to me for sure. And I definitely think that Logan Thomas is somebody who's probably going to be available in your redraft league, so if this is kind of like a 1 week thing even, that makes a lot of sense, and this is going to be a good matchup for it. As far as Falcons go, we're still starting Bijan every single week.
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
Are we starting Algier in this matchup?
No, I'm not starting Algier unless there's an injury to Bijan at this point. But I definitely am starting Bijan every single week.
Yeah, me too, 100%. Drafted him high. He's going to stay right there.
He's at that point where we barely even have to talk. Like, I'm not even ever going to put him as a, you have to start him. Maybe a sit eventually. Right. I might eventually sit him, but nah, I'm starting him every week.
Maybe someday.
Maybe.
It's probably not. All right, so Colts-Jags. Time for me to go crazy. Michael Pittman Jr.
Oh yeah.
You need to start him, and I am betting the car on a touchdown this week, and because the Jags are top 5 in passing yards allowed. Last 3 matchups against Michael Pittman Jr., they allowed him 64 yards and a touchdown, 134 yards, and then 97 yards and a touchdown. So there's been a pattern of him consistently eating. And another thing is, one of my favorite things about Minshew when you watch him play is he always targets his guys. Like, whoever his best receiver is, when he was getting some starting time for the Jags and on the Eagles too, he just feeds them. So I'm thinking 10 targets minimum for MPJ. Probably not minimum, but I'm thinking 10 targets for MPJ, and I think that he's going to go for 90 plus a touchdown at least.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking that the Colts are going to try and run the ball more with JT and Zach Moss now, and then with Minshew obviously there, but... I mean, I could see if the Jaguars get up early, the Colts are going to have to, rely on Michael Pittman. So
also, did you know that the Jaguars are top 5 in run defense right now?
No, I did not.
Most people would not have thought that, but last week, and I know Buffalo doesn't have... They've been doing better at running, but they're not like a crazy running team. But I mean, they held James Cook, I think, to under 10 yards. And I think Josh Allen, just Bills rushing in general was under 100 yards. I think it's the second time they've done that this season. So I didn't actually write down those stats because I was so focused on MPJ. I wouldn't necessarily sit JT, but if you have a better option, I don't think this is the week that he's going to pop off.
Okay. Is Zach Moss like a flex play for you, or are you just not even starting?
No, I really, honestly, Zach Moss is good, and he's going to continue to be good and probably get some snaps. Like, he showed flashes in Buffalo, and it just obviously wasn't the scheme for him or something. But ever since he's been with the Colts, he's had a couple of games where he popped off. But I just really don't like this matchup in particular. The Jaguars have shown a commitment to stopping the run and an ability to stop the run. So I feel like most teams are going to be targeting them through the air, and I think that's how it's going to go this weekend.
All right, that makes sense to me. Now it is time for my super crazy stat. I know I said last week I had the craziest stat I've ever found. This is the craziest stat I have ever found. And it's going to be Seahawks at Bengals. So, the Seahawks are 15-1 in their last 16 1 o'clock games.
What?
They won 15 out of their last 16.
Okay.
The one loss came to the Bengals in 2015.
Jeez. Okay.
That's 8 years ago.
Right.
Was their last loss on 1 o'clock.
That is so strange because most of the time I would assume 1 o'clock they're playing away as well.
No, they usually just have a 4 o'clock game.
Right.
Or just like prime time.
Right. Because if they're playing at home, they'd be 4 o'clock. So
yeah.
So they're winning 15 out of 16 road games at 1 p.m.
Yeah. Well, it's not all road games.
Right.
Like, actually, most of them probably are. Yeah, most of them probably are.
Yeah.
So,
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, bro. Crazy. Well, listen to this. The loss was to the Bengals in 2015. Thomas Rawls was the starting running back, and he had 23 carries for 169 yards and a touchdown, which helped the Seahawks get a 24-7 lead. But Tyler Eifert was him that game. Tyler
Dude,
Eifert
I remember the Tyler
was
Eifert
him.
days, bro.
This was the game where he had 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Bengals came back and won 27-24 in overtime.
Okay. That's crazy.
It was actually crazy.
That is,
it was actually fucking crazy.
So, are you thinking Bengals win this game?
Okay, so I'll tell you my player of the week.
Okay.
My player of the week this week is Joe Burrow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My player of the week is Joe Burrow.
Me and Joey B, I did this once the other week and it was not good.
Listen, I'll tell you why. And Kyle, I know you already turned the stream off because you're pissed about what I said earlier. But if you're still there, you're going to be happy now. This was the projected timeline that his calf was going to be healthy.
Okay.
So, and he looked good last week.
He did look much better last week.
He looked way more comfortable. His throwing motion looked a lot like what it used to look like. And he threw for 36 out of 30. Oh, my God. He threw 36 out of 46, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And another thing is T. Higgins might be back this week.
Okay.
He promised that he's going to
play. He promised, right? Yeah.
He promised. He didn't pinky promise, but he did promise that he'll be back this week. And it just feels like the momentum is changing in Cincinnati. I mean, like, he was just looking so good last week. And I think that, the Seahawks don't have, they don't have a bad defense.
Right.
But I still think that Joe Burrow, this is the time, this is the momentum.
Yeah.
Like, if you beat the Seahawks, you're going on the streak.
Yeah. And I know they had a slow start last year as well, so that would make a lot of sense. My only concern, Jamal Adams isn't really like a menace in pass coverage per se, but he's back healthy. Devon Witherspoon is now back healthy. Reek Woolen has been practicing this week. That could cause problems for the wide receivers, but I do agree, and I think we talked about it in an earlier edition of the podcast, the Seahawks pass rush, other than against the Giants, has not really looked very formidable. So if Joe Burrow has time to sit back and relax in the pocket, I think he could eat, but another issue is the Bengals offensive line, so that's actually going to be a really interesting matchup.
It's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I do believe if I had Joe Burrow, I'm starting him no matter what in this matchup as well. I actually am in the league that I own Joe Burrow, so I agree with that 100%. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
The other thing, too, is DK hasn't been practicing, which he's been doing, like, the past couple weeks, like, earlier in the week.
Because he's been dealing with a rib or something.
A rib injury that happened week 2. Mm-hmm. So, I still think he's going to play, but if he doesn't, I mean...
Yeah.
Bengals?
Coming out game?
I would start
him. You tell me?
Oh, my God.
You tell me? As soon as we start getting this guy targets, we'll know what he's up to.
I would start him, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That'd be insane.
But,
that's all I got for the Bengals. I think that it's going to be a crazy game. I think the Bengals are going to beat the Seahawks.
That makes sense,
And because, I mean, look, I'm following history.
Yeah.
So...
Sometimes it tends to repeat itself, and I do believe that it's going to be a high-scoring game as well. So I think even with the two defenses, I think they're average to above average. I don't think they're really necessarily like huge game changers, but we could see this as the NFL, and that's actually one of my favorite matchups of by far.
Me too.
That one's going to be spicy. One that I am, I would be less excited about this matchup 2 weeks ago than I am right now. We got Vikings-Bears at 1 p.m. Bears kind of showing signs of life. Working DJ Moore into the plan. But my player to start is going to be Alexander Mattison. He has had over 10 points the last 3 weeks, and he is playing against a Bears defense that has allowed 491 yards through 5 games. And last week they only gave up 29 to running backs. So if you take it out and put those averages in, they're averaging way over 100 yards a game for their opponents.
Yeah.
And I think that Madison, who has looked good in general, but has had, dropped the touchdown last week.
Yeah.
Just kind of been missing opportunities. I think this is going to be a good get-right game for him. And especially with JJ being out for the foreseeable future, I think that the Vikings might try to lean more into a run game. I think they still trust KJ Osborne and Addison, and so they're not going to be passing the ball like 20 times or something like that. I definitely don't foresee that. But I think that the run is going to become a focal point. I think that Madison's going to get a bulk of the carries as well as a touchdown this week.
That makes sense. You bet in the car on the touchdown?
I'm not betting the car on the touchdown. I would, whatever his over-under is, though, I'd probably bet the over. I don't know what it is right now, but I would think it's probably like in the 70s or 60s. So I'd bet that for sure.
I might bet you that Deontay Foreman scores more than Madison this week.
I would be in hell, bro.
Roshan Johnson's out. Khalil Herbert's out. It's Deontay Foreman week.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I sure hope not.
I'm not starting. It's all right. I'm starting Mostert. But I actually got a couple sits coming up.
Okay.
Including this one. For 49ers at Browns, I'm sitting Jerome Ford. The reason why Deshaun Watson's out, the 49ers allow less than 50 yards per game to running backs, or rushing yards per game. So it's just,
dude, what?
Yeah, they're one of 3 teams.
Yeah,
and I'm actually
it's them, the Browns, and the Browns don't really.
Nope.
Interesting.
I'll be talking about them. Don't you worry.
Right,
They're coming up. They're coming up. Don't worry. So that's why I'm sitting Jerome Ford. Deshaun Watson's out. Top 3 rushing defense. And I think that the 49ers are going to get the lead early, and they're never going to let it go. They're just going to maintain the lead the entire game. So I don't think they're going to have to throw, or going to have to gonna have to run. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. They're not going to be able to, probably.
They're not going to be able to. I mean, they're not going to, like I was stuttering, saying they're not going to be able to pass. They're not going to be able to pass either. They're not going to be able to run or pass. So
yeah, we got PJ Walker at QB, it sounds like, for the Browns on Sunday. So
it's going to be a massacre.
It's going to be rough, yeah. I feel like PJ Walker, I enjoy watching PJ Walker. We're XFL fans, so it's cool to see him do his thing. But against the 49ers defense, that's just not, I don't think he's at that level. But yeah, so with that, on to the 405. Anything else to say? Sorry?
No.
All right, perfect. So yeah, and that game in general I think is going to be kind of stinky.
Yeah.
I know the Browns defense has been good, but like you kind of look at the opponents they've played and you start to wonder what's going on. So this would be a good test for them if they can hold the 49ers, but I still don't really think they have a chance to win this game.
Agreed.
And then on to the Shit Show Bowl. We got the Patriots versus the Raiders, the old Josh McDaniels revenge game. Even after winning against the Packers, I feel no different about the Raiders.
A huge revenge game, bro.
Yeah,
Jimmy G revenge game.
Damn!
Jacoby Myers revenge game.
God damn, I forgot the Raiders are Patriot radios. The Raiders are Patriot West.
Yes, they are.
But it's funny you mentioned that. I actually like Jacoby Myers here a lot.
Me too.
Him and Devontae are my must starts. I would figure you're probably not sitting Devontae even through kind of a rough week, and he looked a little banged up. But I feel like this is a game where he's going to accelerate. The Patriots secondary, as far as like statistics go, really hasn't been getting run up that much, which is surprising because when you watch them, you're just like, they're getting blown away.
Well, also they don't have Christian Gonzalez anymore.
Right,
so
exactly.
All those were with Christian Gonzalez.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But even last week when they kind of got run up on, I think it was after they were down by 20 or whatever, they just kind of started feeding the ball to the running backs there. So yeah, I think stats-wise, there's nothing I could really say to confirm this particular opinion, but when you see them playing, it's like, these guys are wide ass open, and Josh McDaniels has shown a obsession with Jacoby Myers that I think must be heard. And if he's healthy, I think that you need to be putting him in your lineup because I'm thinking that he's going to get like probably 8 targets.
I was literally thinking 7 or 8 targets around that range.
So
at least,
So I think that that's going to happen. Patriots offensive players, probably keep him on your bench
even against the Raiders,
unless you have to. I mean, bro, they scored 3 points in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I know it's against higher levels of competition, but they have really shown an ineptitude on offense, and I just don't know who to trust. I mean, I can't trust Ramondre. I can't trust Mac Jones.
Juju's ruled out.
Yeah, Juju's out. I don't trust any of the other wide receivers.
Yeah,
maybe Hunter Henry. But at this point, I feel like I'd rather just grab Logan Thomas off the waiver wire.
Logan Thomas, will be.
So even though this matchup does seem somewhat favorable, and I could see the Patriots getting somewhat on track, I don't think that's going to be an offensive explosion or anything like that.
Yeah, that is the shit game at 4.
Yeah.
A 4 o'clock shit game.
The shit show bowl, bro. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at 4:05, so they can get it. That's the only 4:05 game. They want to get it wrapped up.
Yeah, just get it over with. Get it off the air. I got the first 4:25 game. Lions at Bucks.
Nice. I'm hyped for this one too.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good ass game. This is gonna be a really good game. Similar to the 49ers, the Lions are one of the other 3 teams that allow less than 50 yards per game to running backs. So that's one of the other 3. So I'm also sitting Rachaad White.
Okay.
And for the same exact reason as Jerome Ford, except that they do have their starting quarterback, so I think they're going to be throwing more because I also think the Lions are going to take the lead early, just like the 49ers will. And then I don't know if they're ever going to give it up. I mean, I want to see the Bucs win this game. I want to see Baker come alive. I want to see... You do have Mike Evans, so maybe I don't.
Well, sounds like he's not practicing, so he might not play this game. His hamstring has definitely been bothered. Yeah, and the Buccaneers have looked good this year, and I believe in Chris Godwin as well as it seems like he's getting continually to get healthy, but I don't know if I trust him as a wide receiver 1 yet. I think he's much better working in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver too.
While someone on the outside is taking the bulk of the double coverage and stuff like that. So yeah, if Mike Evans plays, then I think that definitely, I don't think it changes whether you start Rachaad White or not, but it definitely changes the dynamic a lot in the Buccaneers offense.
I'm sitting Rachaad White regardless. He has gotten some decent volume this season, I will say that, but the Lions' rushing defense is something else this year.
Yeah.
But I am hyped on Amon-Ra St. Brown having fully practiced
Okay,
the
nice.
past couple days. So he's back. Sam Laporta did not practice yesterday, but he did fully practice today without a knee brace.
Super worried about that one, but
he should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had a little dip in his production,
right?
But it's not going to be anything crazy. Like,
well, I mean, God, if he scores 2 touchdowns again, it's like,
no, but he
was this guy best tight end ever? I don't foresee that. No, but I do believe he'll get 4 or 5 catches again for a couple yards and hopefully sneak 1 touchdown in there.
Maybe not a touchdown, because that just hurts me. But
yeah, exactly. But we're good for that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'll go ahead and pass it back to you.
All right, we got Cardinals and Rams, another 4:25 game. This is another game that at the beginning of the year, if we had taken a look at it, it would be like, God, dude, like, why are we watching this shit? But the Rams have really impressed me. The Cardinals have looked like a productive offense in general, and I am saying you want to start Marquise Brown.
Okay.
I don't think that he's on the waiver wire necessarily. He might still be in some redraft leagues where people aren't paying a bunch of attention. But if he is, definitely snap him. And if he's been on your bench like he has been in my 2 redraft leagues, it's time to put him in the lineup. He's shown consistency. He's shown a chemistry with Joshua Dobbs. And I'm just expecting a touchdown from him. I know that he missed some practice due to illness. I just skipped the word ill, and I was like, what? But yeah, that's what it was. But it sounds like it's not a problem, just like a stomach bug or something. Dude, that's the Chipotle shits. And I also really like the Rams stars in this matchup. Cooper Kupp came back and just absolutely decimated, and I kind of foresee that happening again.
Yeah.
If you sat him last week worried about the injury, I feel sorry for you. Keep him in your lineup until he breaks down again, because he truly is just at another level when it comes to reading coverages. So I think that he's good to go. I think Kyron Williams is going to be good to go in this defensive matchup, and I could honestly see this game being like a pretty close 7 to 10 point game where both teams go into the high 20s, low 30s for their scoring.
Yeah. How dare you not shout out Puka Nacua, though? How dare you?
If he's out of your lineup, bro, you're making a mistake.
Bro, why would you ever sit him?
Yeah, at this point, he's got to just be consistent.
Yeah.
Similar to Chris Godwin, like, even if he has a wide receiver too, he's going to get so open.
Way better than
with
Chris
that.
Way better than Chris Godwin.
Oh my goodness.
Already.
I mean, this season.
Hey.
How are you going to tell me otherwise? But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this one. I think it's definitely going to be more exciting than we would have thought to begin with, like I had mentioned. And it does kind of seem like it might be a back and forth contest.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I think that it is going to be a lot better of a game, like you said, than we definitely anticipated at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped for that one. I've got the last 425 game, and 49ers, Lions, and Eagles are the only 3 teams that allow less than 50 rushing yards to opposing running backs. But I'm sitting Jerome Ford, I'm sitting Rachaad White, but I'm starting Breece Hall.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Today, we're recording on Friday the 13th. Oh, shit, it's Friday the 13th. That's spooky.
Sheesh.
That's spooky. I didn't notice that. That's
the thunder
spooky.
crack in the background.
Yeah, I imagine.
Wait, who's there?
The reason I'm starting him is Jalen Carter is out.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Darius Slay, also out.
Damn.
Both reported today, ruled out today.
Wow. Okay.
So, because Jalen Carter twisted his ankle in practice, so he's out. He's out for this game. They're gonna let him sit.
That sucks.
Which they still have Fletcher Cox. They still have a nice D line. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Jalen Carter is a huge run stopper. Yep. So I'm super hyped that he's not. I mean, I can't say I'm hyped that he's not gonna be there. Like
hype for your Breece stocks.
Yeah, I'm saying I think it's really good for Breece Hall. Of course, I want him healthy. Come on. But Breece Hall is averaging the second most in the NFL. Rushing yards per carry. Yards per carry. Yards per carry. Only behind Devon Achane, however you want to say it. 7.17 yards per carry for Breece Hall this season, which,
crazy.
Of course, is a little skewed because he has had some pretty big runs, but, I mean, still, he's second.
And they've shown a willingness now to let the offense run through him, which they were not showing at the beginning of the season.
Dalvin Cook is cooked.
Yep.
He's done. You could drop him in
Crisp,
redraft leagues.
crisp,
He's done.
Draft him once in Madden while he still has X Factor before it goes away forever.
Does he really have X Factor?
At the beginning of this season, he did, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's a joke.
That's
the Jets,
a joke.
dude, preseason Jets.
They were crazy.
Cracked on Madden. But no, I agree. I think at this point, Brees should not be touching your bench. Like I just mentioned, they're showing a willingness to run the offense through him, and I think that if you give him every play, you can see him like getting this close to finding the hole, and then like it's just a question of whether he, busts through it or not.
Yeah, pretty soon he will be one of those players that you just start no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But I think especially against this Eagles team, I had to put him in with Jalen Carter and Darius Slay out.
Yeah,
I have to put him in there.
Some people would be suspect about that.
Exactly. They're going to look on Sleeper, whatever app they use, it could be like, okay, this is like a top 3 rushing defense, like against running backs. And they might like put in somebody else like Rashad White or Jerome Ford. You're going to want to start Brees Hall over those guys, even with, the red matchup.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense, and I like that one. It is also incredibly surprising to me that the Eagles are that good against rushing defense because and it's got to be a scheme thing because you remember last season they were like a running funnel.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they would just be like, please.
But I'll tell you, it was Jalen Carter. He's a huge defense in the running game.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that makes sense. And now that he's gone, Brees might be coming.
Brees is coming.
On to prime time. We're going to talk about my Bills. They got blown out against the Jaguars and got slaughtered, literally.
Literally.
Through injuries, which just sucks, man. Just hate to see that kind of stuff, but, that's part of the game that they play, a super physical game. And so I think the Bills, now that we've got somebody back, they're back to 6 out of their 11 original starters on defense, which is...
Still not
really
good.
rough. But I don't give a damn. I'm starting them this week. We're up against the moribund Giants. Tyrod Taylor is starting. I love Tyrod Taylor. Taylor is starting. I love him. Obviously not enough because I don't know his name. But he did end the Bills' drought. He was a huge cog in that. So I love him to death. But he is not a excelling level starting quarterback at this point. I feel like the Bills' D is going to get an interception. At least one, and I think that you probably want to sit most of the Giants players, except for Saquon if he plays, which I'm not sure where his status is at this week, but the Bills haven't been known. My dad always jokes, like, literally every game they allow a 50 to 60-yard run. Like, it's just one of them. And then it just, like, the rest of the time it's like 3-4, it's fine. But, like, they're gonna, if Saquon is playing, I would, if there's a way to bet on this, I would guarantee that Saquon gets one run over 40 yards. Like,
yeah, I mean, we saw last week with ETN.
Yeah.
And they were
exactly.
And your dad's on to something.
If you think back, every single game, Brees Hall, first week, happened. Second week against the Raiders, that one dude did a jet sweep for 60 yards. Third week against, who did they play the third week? The Washington. I'm pretty sure Brian Robinson busted off a crazy one too. They didn't even score. Like, so it's just a guarantee. So if you're, no matter what the stats say, if you got the main running back, I would start them against the Bills. But like I said, start the Bills defense. I think they're still solid enough on the D line against that Swiss cheese Giants O line that they're going to produce a lot of sacks, produce a lot of pressure, and get an interception. And I also like James Cook here. Some people might be hesitant to start him after he got obliterated by Jacksonville, but like I mentioned earlier, they have a really good run defense, and I definitely think that just in general the Bills looked super sloppy. So I think coming back to New York, coming back home to primetime, I think that they're going to have a good game. They're going to focus on the running game, and I think that their defense is going to take over.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think gets the pick? Who's your prediction if you had to guess?
It's a tough one. Let's go with Terrell Bernard. Let's go with the first-year starter.
Hey.
Let's see if the linebacker can make some moves in Milano's absence.
Yeah, hopefully he does, bro. He looked pretty good last week.
He is explosive, man. Like, I gotta say, he is a young guy, so he's gonna make mistakes in coverage here and there.
Yeah.
But he's a playmaker, man. He likes to produce turnovers and get near the ball. So
Who's that guy that went buck wild last week?
On the defense?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, Dane Jackson?
Dane Jackson, too.
Yeah, he has like.
But I was talking
tackles.
about the guy...
Oh, you mean AJ Epinesa?
Yes.
Yeah. He's been looking really good this season. So I'm hoping that with Greg Rousseau is back and practicing, Von Miller, I don't believe he was limited at all this practice. I don't foresee him coming and playing a full game or anything like that.
He'll get more snaps, though.
Yeah, they might be able to ramp him up. So hopefully the Bills' D-line can just take over and it'll be fun to watch.
I'm hyped for that game. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it might be really, really rough, but... this is the NFL, like we always say, and the worst teams in the league are, I think Brian Scalabrine said this, like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me, You know, like
Yeah.
the lowest level NFL teams are closer to the Niners than they are to anything else. You know, so like it is any given Sunday, anything can happen. But based off of what we see in the Giants' O line is their trenches are not good, and in general, when your trenches are not good, things are not going to work out well for you. So hopefully the Bills can come out on prime time and lay a shellacking on them and kind of get back into the groove.
All right, we are going to talk about Monday Night Football. Don't even read what I said because listen. My player of the week is Austin Eckler simply because 1, he's back. 2, it's prime time. That's it. That's it. Austin Eckler's back, bitch.
Yep.
He's hype on it. I'm hype on it.
Yep.
We're hype on it.
Me too, bro.
So
it's good when good players are healthy and back in the league, even when you're playing against them.
That's it, bro. I didn't even write any analysis. It's just a total vibe thing.
Yeah.
I think that Austin Eckler is going to score. He's probably going to have over 100 rushing and receiving. Well, not rushing and receiving, but...
Dude, that would be nuts.
I wouldn't be too surprised, bro.
If he goes...
But probably not.
Yeah.
But I think he'll have over 100 total yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
He's just... Bro, he's back.
Yeah. He's a monster.
He rested during the bye, and he was already, like... I'm pretty sure he's like questionable week 4.
If it was week 17 and they didn't have a bye coming up, I feel like he would have played the last game.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the fact that he let himself get another week of rest, I'm trusting it a lot.
Me too. Yeah. I think he's there. I just think that he is going to be there.
Yep.
And then also, I did notice in this matchup, Tony Pollard is listed as healthy now.
Right.
So, oh yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier because I was mentioning it. But yeah, this is going to be a crazy game for me to watch because I want them to never score through the air. If we could just get nothing but rushing touchdowns
no.
Pollard and Eckler just run it up, bro. And they both are coming up, Pollard coming off a rough week and Eckler coming off an injury. They probably both want to prove themselves.
Hopefully not for
100 yards and 2 tuds for both of them, baby.
Dude, I'm even screwed on Monday Night Football. I just realized.
Yeah, you're going to be so anxious.
I don't even have any players.
Yeah, you're gonna know. You're just gonna watch those points tick up. But yeah, this will be fun. I'm hyped to get this matchup with you this week, and we'll be back next week to discuss our W's and L's for that, and our W's and L's in our fantasy leagues. But until then, we'll see you.
We will see you. Peace.